Hey guys, I'm Lucas Gabb, and today I'm at Gear for Music checking out the brand new ToneX pedal from IK Multimedia. If you have a collection of vintage amps or amps that you want to take on the road in one compact unit, this is the video for you. Make sure you stick around, like, and subscribe, and let's get into it. Okay, so first let's talk about ToneX. ToneX is an innovative piece of software that IK Multimedia released late last year, which allows you to capture your favorite amps, cabs, and pedals all in a unique software platform. It's been super popular as previously before this, you've only been able to capture amps through pedals or rack-mounted units. Not only will this allow you to capture all of your favorite amps and pedals, but it'll also give you access to Tonenet. Tonenet is an online platform where users can share their captures with thousands of other users. You'll find everything on there, from vintage amps to modern amps to amps you've never even dreamed of, available to download with just one click. With the launch of the ToneX pedal, this means you can take the innovative AI amp capturing technology anywhere. So that's any amp, anytime, anywhere in the world. So today we're going to be looking at the ToneX pedal. We're going to be checking out some of the presets, making some of our own presets, and seeing how it integrates into the ToneX software. Let's dive into it. So first, let's look at the unit and the interface. As you can see, it's housed in a metal chassis and is extremely compact. This is arguably the most compact amp capture pedal available on the market today, which is super important. When you're trying to save space on a pedal board, you need something small. So the interface, we've got a model selector and a preset selector. These will allow us to switch between models, amps, cabs, and any kind of global settings. Below that, we've got a 3-band EQ, as present on most amps, volume, gain, and a parameter selector. This parameter selector will allow us to access a second layer of controls down here: reverb, compression, noise gate, presence, and depth. Along with this, we've also got foot switches. These foot switches at the bottom will allow us to switch between presets and banks. This is super helpful if you've got loads of different sounds you need to use in different parts of songs. It also has MIDI integration at the back if you prefer to do this with MIDI integration. So now, to show you how this works, I'm going to start to build a preset and we're going to look at some of these parameters a little bit closer. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is hit the model switch up here. The first thing it's going to highlight is the amp and cab. This is going to allow us to select an already pre-existing combination of an amp and a cab. For this particular preset, we're going to start from scratch. We're going to check the amps out first. So I'm going to click this again and take us just onto the amp model. So now we're onto the amp model. At this point, we can scroll through and check out loads of different amps. I'm looking for something kind of high gain, so let's have a little look through and see what we've got. Okay, cool. So that's a pretty good starting point. I think from there, we'll have a look at the cab. A lot of people who are familiar with modeling will know the cab makes a huge difference on amp tones. So let's just jump into it. I'm going to click through the menu and navigate to where it says cab. I'm going to select the model, and then we're now onto the cab models. At this point, I can just twist this knob and find the appropriate cab that complements the head. Okay, so that sounds pretty cool to me. It's quite a direct tone. As you can hear, changing the cab really does help shape the sound of the head. So it's quite important that you spend a bit of time if you're looking for that perfect tone. So from here, we've got our amp and our cab model. So I'm now going to jump into some of the parameters down at the bottom, such as the EQ and the gain and the volume, before we look at the additional parameters. So maybe a little bit more body going on there. Okay, cool, that sounded pretty juicy. I don't feel like I really need to change the middle or treble, as I feel like we've got quite a nice top end going on. And the volume seems pretty good for me right now. So I'm gonna move on to some of the additional parameters. And these additional parameters are quite helpful to players, just to get your tone a little bit more polished before it even hits any of the pedals or anything further. So I'm gonna hold down the Alt control, and that's gonna bring up this green icon here. This means we are now using the alternate parameters down at the bottom. So if I was to turn this, it's going to change the reverb mix. This is a built-in reverb, and I'll just show you what it is. I don't think we really need it for this tone, but just for example. It's got quite a nice reverb there. For this particular tone, I'm going to turn this off. So we've got a compressor. This is super helpful if maybe you're playing cleans, but personally for the tone we're trying to achieve, I don't feel like I need the compressor on. We've got a noise gate here. This is day one kind of stuff for anything who's using a high gain amp tone. If you turn this off, you'll notice that it can be quite noisy. This allows you to instantly cut out a lot of that horrible noise, and it's great. Super, super helpful. This is a really nice feature, and definitely something that I would look for, on modern high gain amps. We've also got presence and depth. The presence is pretty good right now, to be fair. It's already set to about 7. And the depth gives you kind of like the space of the amp, so you can hear a bit more of a woollier sound, the more depth. If I bring that back, it's a bit more direct. So it's kind of like the boom in the room, I guess. This is also super helpful when you're using, a modeled amp, because you haven't physically got an amp mic'd up in a room. So now I'm happy with that. I'm going to hit the preset save button, which I'm going to hold down. And then I am going to set this up as, LG Metal, why not? And I'm going to choose my bank for this. So as you can see, you've got parameters here which allow you to pick any of these banks, and there's a lot of space, so you can save many, many presets on this unit. So I'm just going to save this to 2A. I'm going to press save. So now we've got our preset, and that was pretty quick to build. But there is an easier way if you want to get quick results really, really fast. The unit has loads of built-in presets, and these presets are great. You can simply scroll through the presets here, audition them, see if you like them, see if it's in kind of the general, area of what you want your preset to sound like. And then from that preset, you can simply go ahead and just adjust the parameters and change the carbs, mess around with anything until you are happy with it. At which point you can also save that as your new scene. There's a couple of examples that I made earlier. Let's check them out. So now we've seen how simple it is to make a preset on the actual hardware unit. If you prefer a software editor, you can always use the ToneX app on the computer. So if we head over to this now, we can hit the librarian tab, and this allows us to see every single preset that we have saved on the unit. These are all the banks and all the standard presets that come loaded with the unit. But below that, there's also the tone models. The tone models are hundreds of different amp models and amp captures that have been saved by IK Multimedia. And all of these units are able to drop onto it via the USB connection. So, for example, my favorite amp at the moment is probably PV5150. So I'm just going to search in here, PV5150, see what that pulls up. So we've got a load of different options here, loads of different captures. So I'm just going to take that and drag that onto one of the banks on the hardware unit. This gives me the option to overwrite the original preset on there. I'm going to say OK. And this has now loaded this onto the hardware unit. So if I show you now, we'll see what that sounds like. So it sounds super cool, and it was super easy to do. I mean, there's so many options that it's kind of limitless. You can also head over to the player tab, and the player tab allows you to kind of take these models and create more unique chains with adding compressors, noise gates, and then you can save these as a preset by doing this. And once you save them, they will display in the librarian tab as a preset, and these presets can then be taken and also dragged onto. This will now replace the preset saved on the unit with a more complicated signal chain that I've actually developed within the ToneX app. So we've established that there's a lot of different things you can do with this, and there's kind of unlimited possibilities with the tone models, but we're still barely scratching the surface. If we take a look at the Tonenet, we're going to be able to find so many more options. Let's have a look at the Tonenet now. But now when we head onto the Tonenet, this is where we can get other users' captures of amps, of cabs, of pedals, and we can audition them on our unit and we can try them out and make our own presets based with other people's work. So you see here, we've got a list of just everything that has been uploaded. They're also ranked by popularity, and you can see how many people have downloaded them, which is always helpful. So just on a quick pass, I can see an EVH 5150 there, a 30th anniversary cab. That sounds super cool to me. So if I double click this, it's going to load the model onto the ToneX player. And from that, I'm then going to download this model using this button here, which is going to save that to my local library. I can create unique signal chains here. I can update the gate. I can change the amp settings. And once I'm happy with this, I can then click off Tonenet as it's now a local file, and I save this as a preset. Let's just call this EVH. And then if I head over to the librarian tab and go on presets, this EVH is now saved on here. From here, I'll drag this onto the unit, onto bank 2, preset C, overwrite that. It's going to automatically load on the ToneX, and let's see how it sounds. I mean, that sounds great. It's amazing because you've got unlimited possibilities, so you can really lose a lot of hours to this. So if you have already used ToneX to capture some of your amps, having previously used the ToneX service, you'll also have these in your local presets, and these presets can be transferred to the ToneX units. So if you're happily using this in the studio already, it means you can take your studio tones with you on the go. So the ToneX pedal is a great choice if you're wanting to take all of your amps in one tiny, small, compact unit, Or if you're already using the software and you've been using it in the studio and you want to transfer those captures into your live setup. If you're like me and you're always on the tone quest, you can definitely lose some hours to this. And the user interface is super easy to work and you definitely get a lot of tonal options. ToneX is now available to buy, so if you like this video, make sure you subscribe and check it out at the link below. I'll see you next time.